there's some hotness around desire. It's like, ooh, I desire. It's like, yes. I need. It's like, ooh, that feels like a fucking contraction. Hello, hello, and welcome to the Weeder Life podcast. I'm your host, Erica Weederlight, and I am the CEO and founder of We the Light. I help humans who feel inadequate, broken, self-conscious, and shamed around their sexuality to reclaim their aliveness, their power, and to have a renewed relationship to pleasure while preparing themselves to feel hella confident to date others and themselves. AKA, I'm guiding people to live their #best lives. I have to give you a fair warning. I do unfortunately swear like a drunken sailor, so if you do have little ones by you, just be sure to pop in some earbuds. All right, friends, let's buckle up and let's rock it to this week's episode. Well, we are back, and I am half triggered. I am feeling both jazzed, excited, down, and also like yikes, about the needs conversation. I think for me, like, I knew I was kind of horrendous around speaking my needs, honestly, like just knowing my needs. And then through doing this work, especially like certain programs, certain containers, I was like, I'm fucking good at this. Like, I was like, I'm like really good at this. And I'm an activator for others to speak for their wants and desires. And like, true. And then you know how it happens. Like, sometimes life happens. I think when I was in certain containers, I'm very grateful for this. Like, it helped support me. The community helped support me be bold in like knowing myself, asking for my needs. Like, I was like, fuck yeah. And then being in other containers, which were fab, it wasn't like the primary focus, if that makes sense. And then I kind of went back. I sashayed a little bit to old patterns. It was much bolder. It was much, I don't want to say better because yikes, but it was more concentrated. And now I'm noticing tee-hee-hee. Oops. We have it's funny because I'm like, oh, I'm like quite crunchy around my needs. It makes me feel like we love the martyr. Like, my inner martyr loves to come out. I don't have any needs, which, like, ew, gross. But for me, I have a relationship that I kind of go back and forth on with my needs. My family jokes, which I'm like, lol. But my family jokes that, and this is not a joke, but my parents always say, we have no favorites. We have no favorites. We love you all the same. And we love, certain things that you do and whatever. We're very celebrated, and it's very nice. But my dad is a ball buster, and he loves to fucking tease. Like, he just cause I'm like, but are there favorites? Like, like, I love to ball bust, and I get it right back. And he's like, actually, yeah. And I'm like, fuck you. But his big tease is, my sister is the favorite. My brother is the golden child. And I'm like, oh, what am I going to be? What role? And he's like, and you, Erica, golden child, favorite, you are the needy one. I'm like, fuck you. So our big joke, they're like, oh, there's the favorite. There's the golden child. Oh, there's the needy one. And I think it's fucking a rip-roaring hilarious time. And in actuality, it's, when you break it down, it's like, oh shit, like, I am so not bad, but there's room for growth of me speaking my needs even more. And isn't that wild? And like, I will take that role. But we bust chops, and I say to my dad, I'm like, Dad, he's like, I'm kidding. But we've had conversations where it's like, no, it's badass that you ask for what you want and you're communicative. And what I'm saying in this is, isn't it wild that I am, and it's not that deep. It's not that like, you're the needy one, but like, isn't it wild, even as a joke, that I am, I don't want to say perceived, because it's not even that serious, but go with me on this journey, that I'm perceived as one that talks about needs, definitely talks about desires, because I do that all day long with my clients, talks about goals, like, And yet I still struggle with it. So imagine people think, oh, you're a needy one. Like, you're a needy one. Also, let's fucking unpack that for a second. Again, jokes, haha, laugh, laugh. And I'm totally cool with it. Like, I think it's fucking hilarious. But if someone had a little crunch around it, like I was like, oh, like at first I was lightly triggered. I was like, fuck. You know, I was like, I'm not needy, I promise. And it's like, oh, we have this interesting toggle, this thing around. I'm going to be totally transparent. I stopped the recording and I re-recorded because for the last like 4 months, I've been saying on podcasts with clients and speaking events, I'm like, yeah, there's this like toggle. And like, I've always been notoriously horrible at making up my own words or like using words incorrectly. Like for years, I used tundra instead of abundance, but like it kind of works. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh, it was a tundra of snacks. People are like that. Okay. And so for months I've been saying it's a toggle. Cause like, can you feel that? Like it's a toggle. Like there's a toggle. And then I looked it up and that's not what it means. So just, we're just over here reclaiming our own words. Apparently toggle is not like a wrestle or a struggle, but I think it kind of applies. So I was hashtag toggling, add it to the things she makes up. Can you feel the hashtag toggle about the needs conversation? Like as much as it was haha funny, there was some initial crunch of like, fuck, like am I looked at as like annoying or needy? And so as much as I laugh and I am cool with it, I promise, like there is a little bit of like, ooh, do you really want to be the needy one? There is a negative connotation about being needy, especially in relationships. Like we have conditioned and made right and supported like, don't be needy, be cool, right? Like their cool person narrative is hot and heavy. Like you don't need anything, like you're cool. Like that has been a glorified story. And honestly, it's kind of avoidant if you ask me. And there's a lot to unpack about that. But like we have glamorized not having needs. Like it's like hot, it's chic, like not like I'm cool, I'm good, all's well. Like there's a cool undertone in society with it. And that's like fucking annoying. And that's fucked in some ways. But even me with my hashtag toggle with like, yeah, like it's hot that I'm the needy one. Like I want to be the fucking needy one because I am a goddamn trailblazer of having fucking needs. And if I have my needs and I speak my needs, we can have more communication about all of our needs. Like there's a part of me that's like, fuck yeah. Like that's righteous and that's hot. You know, like that's like, I'm like, fuck yeah, let me be the needy one. Like I'm going to claim that title. And then there is a piece of me, the underbelly, that is like, oh, like that is crunchy. That's a little embarrassing. There's like some shame around that. Like, what does that mean about me? So before we go full in on the conversation around needs, and it's funny, I was honestly, needs is taking up space. It's funny. I was like, what are we talking about? And I'm like, they are directly correlated of taking up space, being seen. The conversation around needs, before we jump into that hot dog topic, we have to look at the shade. We have to look at the objections around that topic because, how do I say this? A topic, pretend we're talking about self-love, right? Or embodiment or sexual empowerment. Yes, those have a lot of crunch around them, right? Like we can find objections, we can find stickiness around them. But for the most part, like they're kind of, go with me, clean and clear and cut. And we're like, fuck yeah, I want to be sexually empowered. Fuck yeah, I want to love myself. Like to claim like, I want to have needs, like doesn't feel as like hot. Like there's a little bit of like an underbelly of like, ooh, what does it mean if I have needs? Like it's a primal reaction. Like, will I be too needy? Will people not want to be around me anymore? Will I be looked at too much of a hassle, a problem? You know what I mean? So before we're like, let's fucking talk about your needs, it's like, please hold, like, let's talk about the objections that we hold that why do I even wanna be/have needs? Does that make sense? So like before we even like fucking jump in the deep end, let's take a moment You could pause me. You could whip out your journal. You could, talk it out. I'm curious for you, like, what's your objections? What's your, like, crunch resistance? Like, ugh, I'd rather work on something else than running towards my needs. Like, before we jump in, like, what's your resistance to it? Like I said, for me, I know I was like, yeah, love it. And then my underbelly was like, fuck, like, I don't want to be too much. I don't want to be, it's hot. Like, I, again, have a story too. Like, it's hot that, like, I've grown so much and I'm so, not even independent, but like fierce and in alignment. And so for me, you're needy, even though it's a joke, that triggered me because I'm like, fuck, does that mean, do people not view me as independent? Do they not view me as badass? Do they view me as weak, right? Weak or less than, or like a loser, like, right? Like if you've listened to this before, you know my ish with growing up thinking I was stupid. So for me, I have a connection with feeling stupid and needy, right? Because I'm like, I'm not fucking stupid. I could do this on my own. So when someone says, even though it's a joke, you're needy, it's like, fuck, am I? Is it because I'm stupid? Is it because I'm less than? Does that make sense? So like, I want us to really pause and think about, hey, where is my crunch around claiming I have needs? Right? Like I said, there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of shade to being like, I'm a human. I have needs. And so do you. Let's fucking jam. Like, let's go. So before we jump in, pause, think, what's your crunch around having needs? Because we all have them. Like, we all have them. And that is fucking cool. There's no shame around that. There's no shade around that. It's a beautiful piece of who we are. And I think for me, I started noticing, like, I am such a activator in desires. Like, right? Like, I talk about desire all the time in my work. Desire is how people got into the classroom, the Zoom room, in my sphere in regards to business, because it was a desire for change. It was a desire for possibility. Like, desire, fuck yeah. Like, I'm obsessed with desire. And I think you hear it, like, there's some hotness around desire. It's like, ooh, I desire. It's like, yes. I need, it's like, ooh, that feels like a fucking contraction. You know what I mean? Like, there's not as much jam juice around what is it? Needs versus desire. And so I noticed I have been a fucking activist, if you will, for desires, for others' desires, and not equally bringing the conversation about need. And that I saw was a little bit of a disconnect. It wasn't weighted properly. And I was I'm in a container with one of my amazing coaches. And, again, I do this fucking work. So I'm like, I know my needs. I know my desires. And she was pushing my edges. I'm like, I know I need this. I know I need this. I know I need this. And we got into conversation about, go with me. This was where I was like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I know I desire to travel to fucking Italy. I know I desire a certain amount of money I desire to make so I can bring it back to community and to friends and family. Like, I know those live, laugh, love, live out loud, big, broad strokes. Done. Got it. Wham. Bam. Fuck yeah. But she was challenging me, lovingly pushing my edge. And she said, cool. Great. Love that for you. Do you ever hold when you have to go to the bathroom? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what? And then I started to see the micro steps in which I neglect myself. So fuck yeah, like, it's hot that I'm daydreaming and talking about, I want to travel the world and do the things. Like, hot, love it. No shade on that. But in the same breath that I was holding these huge fucking desires, I was not giving myself full permission to exist, to survive/thrive. Does that make sense? So, example with the peeing thing. I was like, fuck yeah, I want to travel the world and do the things. And I'm poking fun at myself, but like, I want to do all these things. And then I noticed small things that I would do. Like, I would be in a group of friends, right? We'd be having great conversation, but shit, I kind of really got to go to the bathroom. I really got to pee. Oh, I really got to pee, but that's okay. Like, we're having a great conversation. I don't want to be weird. I don't want to interrupt the energy. I don't want to ask where your bathroom is. Like, it's okay. Sounds stupid, but I started to unpack, holy fuck, I always do that. Or I have to go to the bathroom sometimes when I'm at a restaurant, but like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to walk through the crowd. Like, I noticed all these ways in which I was micro-stepping and I was shutting myself down. Another silly example, right? With food. If either I'm on one end of the spectrum, if you know me, I have an interesting and I'm a continuous journey with food. So pretend I'm quote unquote having a more quote unquote healthy relationship with food. I noticed I would override my needs and be like, yeah, but like you really should have a celery stick. And it's like, oh, well, maybe it was a carrot stick. You know what I mean? Like I noticed in which ways I was overriding myself. And there was a voice that I was overriding myself. Again, it sounds like little stupid things. But after a while, that relationship starts to build up that we can't trust ourselves. That there's a voice that knows better. And I was putting a cap on myself. Like, I wouldn't allow myself to go to the bathroom. Again, silly. I wouldn't allow myself to go to the bathroom. It's not important. Or, another silly example, pretend I go to a store and someone gives me the improper change. I'm like, it's okay. They can keep the $5. Like, I noticed, that's okay. That's okay. No problem. No problem. Like, that's okay. I noticed this dismissive, right, quality of myself because of my lack of needs, because I didn't want to be looked at as fucking needy. I didn't want to be looked at as stupid. I didn't want to be looked at as an asshole or too much or like, get the fuck over yourself, girl. You know, like I didn't want to be looked at as that person. And so I thought, oh, it's cool. Like, I'm cool that I don't have to pee. I'm cool that like, keep the change, you know, and of course, you know, there's a place to keep the change, but you get what I'm saying? Like, it's okay that you rip me off. Like, no problem. Like, I'm totally cool. Like, I'm spiritual. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, in one hand, you're saying, I want to be even bolder, even badder, take up even more fucking space. And in another hand, I'm making myself so unconsciously, right? Because I didn't really have that much awareness around it, small, of little old me. And I was like, oh shit, like this is where my martyr lives. Like she's out and about, right? But me, and I'm curious for you, my martyr fucking lives in my need or lack of need conversation. Because there's a lot of justification that it's okay, no problem, I'm good, I'm okay, I don't need anything, I'm fine. How the crunch on that and the unpacking of that crunch. And I'm curious, I know we talked about the objection conversation, right? Like, ooh, I feel embarrassed. I feel icky. I'm curious for you, where are you cutting off your own needs? And for a few weeks, like, you know me, I'm like, oh yeah, doing the things, personal development, growth. And my coach, again, lovingly, gently pushed back and was like, can we like pause for like 3 beats? And for the next few weeks, I want you to have hyper awareness on what your needs are. And I was like, yeah, done. So easy. And then I did the assignment and I was like, fuck. And like I said, I found the bathroom thing. I found very agreeable to things, which of course, like that's, you know, there is a place for that. Of course, we're jamming and we're communicating with people. But I was like, I'm okay, whatever. I don't care where we eat. Sure, we could stay for 5 more hours, even though I had a boundary of leaving at this time. No problem. Like, we're taught that is likable. Like, be agreeable. And again, there is a conversation, like, we are in community with people. Like, how can we both be met? It's not about, like, this brazen selfishness of, like, your needs. Like, fuck yeah, like, your needs. But, like, what I found is when I got better with my own needs, I could be a better space holder for others, for my partners, for my friends, and it became more of a communication. It became more of a conversation versus we're both silently hating all of this. So when I became a bigger activist for my needs, I could turn to my partner, I could turn to a friend and be like, okay, here's my deal. Where are you at? What do you need? How can I support you? Like, how can we jam in the middle? Like, how can we create magic? But when we are so shut down to our own needs, I don't know about you, but like in the past, I was fucking highly triggered. And I see this a lot, like people getting wildly defensive when someone speaks their needs. Because it's like there's a little internal toggle that it's like, fuck you. Like, I'm not even expressing my needs. And you're going to come in, and that's where the story of you're being too much, you're being too brazen, you're being too this, you're being too that. Like, there is a defensive quality when we don't know what we want or we don't speak what we want. And then someone comes into the conversation and is like, hey, this is my boundary. I've seen it time and time again. People get so fucking defensive because it's like, fuck you. Fuck you. What about me? And here's the conversation. What about you? So go with me on this. Not only is this conversation fucking powerful for you, right? And again, I also want to voice like, if you're here, you have a desire for growth, personal development, expansiveness. I know for me too, I'm like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, growth, growth, growth. But then I'm also, on one hand, doing that growth. We also need to make sure that our survival, our basic needs are being tended to. So I just want to throw that conversation back and that awareness back of, we could say growth, 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 but like, can we check in and being like, hey, how are you? What's going on? What's happening? And like I said, not only is this work a fucking activator and an opener truly for your life, this work usually always is, the self-growth world is always fucking permissions for others. So talk about being of service, like you doing this work, you taking up more space, you asking for your needs, you knowing your needs. Not only is it hot for you to be like, oh shit, like I learned something about myself, like fuck yeah, like I'm speaking up for myself, I am being an activist for myself, I am holding space for myself, hot, hot, hot. But that's also permission for others, like, oh shit, they're doing it, I could do it too. And we can get into communication, we could jam, we could create magic, but we're both like crunchy and I'm okay and I'm fine. It's crunch energy. There's not room for growth and possibility and magic and dance. It's just like, we're both good. And it's like, oh, crunchy curmudgeon vibes all around, like stone energy. And we don't want that stone energy. I also want to, okay, I lied before I even fucking go there. I want us to pause. Can you take this dare on with me? I know we took a while back, we took the pleasure challenge on. Can we take this dare? It doesn't need to be as big as the pleasure challenge, but can we take this dare on? Will you do this with me for the next few weeks, the next few days, the next few moments, honestly? Can you virtually eye wink at me that you're going to be more aware, be more conscious of your needs? And I'm going to tell you, it's nothing. Usually, sometimes we were like, oh, fuck, like there's some big dogs I'm ignoring. But usually it's like small stuff of, oh shit, like I'm like very dehydrated. Or, oh my God, I'm sitting in a really compromising way as I, record this podcast or write these notes or watch this show. I've been watching this show. I've been watching this reality TV. I know for me, hello, Bravo, I love you. But am I watching this because it's habitual for me, right? Or do I always eat the turkey sandwich every Tuesday because it's habitual for me? But does it actually serve me? Like, does it actually feel fucking good? Does it actually nourish me? I just want us to get, like, for the next few beats, notice, what do I need? Like, am I actually supporting myself? And instead of needs having a charge of negativity and smallness and drama, let's reframe that needs are nourishment, soul food. Again, like that, what a beautiful reframe. Instead of it feeling crunchy and contracted and embarrassing, needs are a gateway to nourishment and alignment and showing up and taking up space and allowing others to take up space and fucking shining. So if there is still a crunch, let's reframe that shit to soul food versus a contraction or something to be ashamed of. Is that cool? I know I talked about this briefly, but there is a disconnect, right? When we talk desire, which fuck yeah, let's talk about desires. But like there is a disconnect when we talk desires and growth and what are you manifesting in this new year? And which I am signing up for all of it. I fucking love it. But there is a disconnect if we're talking thriving and thriving and thriving and thriving, and our basic needs are not being taken care of. And go with me on this. This is a holistic conversation. Needs can be how others are interacting with you. Needs can be how we are treating ourselves, how we are interacting with ourselves. So talk about hashtag manifestations, talk about hashtag new year, new me, hashtag goals, hashtag desires. To have that live out loud, pas de bourrée, kickball change, we do need to feel safety in our body. We do need to feel that there's fucking trust, that there's a foundation of, I can fucking hold this shit. You know what I mean? Because we could be creating, but in our bodies, we don't feel like we can hold this because we don't even give ourselves fucking permission to pee. You know what I mean? Like, this is directly correlated to live, laugh, love. This is directly correlated to making the fucking Pinterest boards come true. Like, this is a core conversation that we ignore. That it's like, yes, drink the green juice. I can't even fucking say it. Drink the green juice and work out and do the things that are hot. Yes. But if you're ignoring basic primal needs, or if you're not being held in relationship or friendship and community, it's kind of hard to hold that fucking magic. And so this, I know sometimes it's like, this is so not sexy, but like, let me fucking tell you, it is sexy to do this. It is sexy to create a space within your fucking body, within your soul, that you're like, I deserve to take up space. I deserve to be well nourished. I deserve to be well taken care of, because I deserve it, and it gives permission for others that we all are worthy and deserving. Got it? Okay, cool. I'm like, all right, you understand? You're fucking important. You're important and you matter. Okay, so that's that. I want us to think about that. I want us to really, like I said, the big homework assignment, the big takeaway, the big invite here. Next few beats. Let's see how we're doing. Let's see what needs. And I'm going to play this game with you because I've been playing this game, but I'm like, all right, it's time to really like, what do I really need? Like, what type of movement does my body need today? Not because I signed up for a Pure Barre class, you know, and which is great. But like, is that the type of movement I need? What type of food do I need today? What type of rest do I need? What type of conversations would feel nourishing? Let's look at needs as soul food. Soul food, hot, exclamation point, underline, bold, that shit. Cool. That's a big homework assignment. I also want to I'm going to just gently pod brain into this conversation, and it's something to think about. I might get a little witchy and weird, but when I was going through some of the trainings for my business is getting, so go with me, a little woo, a little weird, but fab. Understanding the energy of my business and what my business needed, right? Because I would superimpose, and I still do, this is how much the business needs to make, and this is who I'm serving, and I'm going to make a fucking podcast, and I'm going to speak on that stage, and it's yes, those are the desires. But getting good at holding the energy of my biz and this thing that I fucking create, and what does it need? Maybe it doesn't need to have 5 million clients, or I'm just making something up that, maybe it doesn't need this thing that we fucking superimpose on it. Getting good at holding space for this thing that is created. What's its needs? What's its wants? Again, a little woo, because it's a little bit less, untangible, but I think you know where I'm going with this. And whether if you have a business, whether if you've created something, parents, guardians, with children too. I just want to, even if you're, I know for me, I'm an aunt, the best role of my life. And I fucking, especially in front of the kids, when, my dad jokes, the needy one, I'm like, fuck yeah, and my sister's like, stop cursing in front of the kids. I'm like, sorry. But I'm like, fuck yeah, hell yeah, frick yeah, I am the needy one. Because I want to create a space where they feel that it's okay to cry. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to have fucking needs. Because we're talking about thriving and how to get better and how to do this. They need to know that it's safe to have basic needs. Does that make sense? So I know I talked about my business, and I'm not going to talk too much further about it, but me doing this work, knowing what Erica needs, I could then get quiet enough. I could then get conscious and aligned enough that I could look at my business and instead of fucking superimposing shit on it, right? And saying, I'm going to extract. Like, what does this thing that I created like need? What life does it need? What support does it need? Okay, boom. If you don't have a business, what about partnership? What about friendship? Instead of fucking vomiting, of course there's a place of like, I desire this in my friendship. I desire this in my relationship. How can I like get quiet enough and say like, this relationship right now needs a lot more this. Maybe this relationship right now needs a lot more softness or a lot more honest conversations. It gets us out of our own fucking way. It gets us out of like conversation and gets us softer, more soft, and from a place of more listening. And like I said, why this work is so badass is it's not only for us, but it's for the ones who we give permission to. And for me, friends, family, clients, fuck yeah, that's so hot. But especially for my 2 baby boos, especially for my 2 nephews that like, we joke that Aunt Erica's needy. But like, yeah, it's kind of cool that she's needy. It's kind of cool that she doesn't, think it's cool that like she doesn't need anything and she's awesome and she's rad. No, like it's fucking rad that she speaks her truth. It's fucking rad that she is an activator for not only what I want and what I want to create, but that I'm okay, that I'm taken care of, that I'm well fed and well nourished and well seen. Does that make sense? So to quickly frame this very hot conversation, objections. What's our crunch around being and having needs, right? Cool. Reframe that shit to, instead of it being, and again, there's room for nuance in all of these fucking conversations. I'm not saying go out there and be like, hi, this is my list of needs and you have none of it. Because I've talked about this in the pod before. Sometimes in this work, I've seen people go to the end of the spectrum and be like, hi, this is what I need and you need to support me or you're out. And I'm going to, not respect any of yours. Fuck no, that's not what I'm asking. And I think you know that by now, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it from a place of alignment and integrity and aliveness and permission for others. You know that already though. But I like to disclaim because I'm like, hold on. Okay, cool. So this is the frame, right? We're framing this conversation. Objections. What are your objections? Why don't you want to have needs? Or what crunch you have around needs? Let's reframe that shit, right? Instead of it being needs and yikes and embarrassing, how could it be soul food? How could it be nourishment? How could it be little gifts to ourselves? How could it be act of awareness and consciousness and self-love? How can it be gifts and treasures to ourselves? Ooh, treasures. And then how could that, not only is it hot for us and fuck yeah for us, but how can we remember that it is a permission-giving activity to others? Cool? Great. That's that frame. I also then remember we want to go back and I want you to notice over the next few beats, next few weeks, next few days, micro step it, whatever feels best for you. I want us to notice where, oh shit, am I sashaying around my needs? And I want us to notice where can we stand up for our needs a little bit more? Where can we just let's start with where do I notice my needs? What are my needs in this particular situation? Like I said, I'm recording a podcast right now. How can I be well hydrated? How can I sit in a way that fucking supports me? How can I breathe and listen to my intuition as I record this podcast? Cool. So within the steps of where you are in your life over the next few weeks, in those situations, how can we listen to our needs? And then the follow-up is, how can we act on them? How can we ask for them? How can we not only know them, because that's a huge part of the fucking conversation, how can we know our needs? But really, the courageousness, the badassery, honestly, it happens from the whole thing. The bravery is, ow! How can I bring this to light? How can I bring this to a safe community or safe friendships that I could share these needs? How can I feel confident enough to fight for these needs? Got it? So knowing our needs, let's just fucking get good at that. Knowing our needs, knowing where we're dropping them a little bit from not a place of shade, but okay, cool, awareness. And then how can we actively get behind them? How can we speak them? How can we ask for help? How can we give them some love as equal to we are giving our desires on the fucking manifestation board. You know what I mean? Like on that vision board, that trip to Paris or Italy, which like, God bless, buongiorno, that's hot as fuck. Like, how can I also have on that vision board of my life that like, I am listening to myself. I am listening to myself in the micro steps. Cool. So like that holds equal awareness and weight. Hot, 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 hot. Last frame is when that feels a little bit more juicy, hot, yummy, locked in our bodies. How can then we activate this in other areas of our life? Like I said, for me, it's business. For others, it may be, being in a family, being in friendships. How can we not only do this for ourselves, but how can we get good? How can we be like, ooh, it's a little risky, but like, how can we be trailblazers in our specific communities around having these conversations? My friends are sometimes like, can you shut the fuck up? Because I'll be like, well, what do you need? They're like, I don't know right now. And I'm like, great, that's hot. Okay, I'm glad you don't know. But like, how can we, in a way that people, that feels safe to others and consensual, how can we be someone that really fights for this conversation of, hey, babe, are your needs being met? I think and let's talk about thriving too. Like, what are you desiring? But really, are your needs being met? Are you being taken care of? Are you hitting what you need to hit? Or is there a deficiency? And if there's a deficiency, how can we get behind you? How can we hold that? Makes sense? Like, I can go on and on about this, but I want us to get right to the point of like, your fucking needs matter. They're not crunchy. They're not embarrassing. They matter. I want us to learn them. I want us to know them. I want us to fight for them. I want us to have and get into conversation where other people's needs are important too. Because like I said, when we both have needs and we're both jamming with our needs, we can create magic. We can create creation. We can fucking endless possibilities. But we're both in that stuck of, it doesn't matter. No problem. It's okay. We're playing small and we're shutting down. And I know if you're here, you're attracted to the aliveness. You're attracted to the magic, the possibilities. So go out there. This is permission for ourselves and others to go out, to listen to the needs moment to moment, to get good at nourishing and giving ourselves that soul food. And I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what happens. I'm always here to support, to lift you up in many ways. Feel free to go to the show notes where you can grab me. I have tons of resources there. But if you want to talk one-on-one in this, I do have that free call. So definitely be sure to book that free call. We'll jam. We'll talk about needs. We'll talk about thriving. I love you. I support you. Your needs are worthy. Your needs are important. They are connected to your thriving. They're connected to your aliveness. You're hot as fuck. And I dare you to go out today and listen to those needs. And to the best of your ability, because of course, this conversation is circumstantial as well. And I do want to put a note on that. But to the best of our ability, how can we hold our needs a little bit tighter? Or how, the dare is, can we ask others to support us, love us, cheer us on? And if you don't have that support system, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And it would be an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege to hold your needs, to cheer you on. I'm here. I love you. I'm fucking proud of you. You're hot damn. Bye. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode and on this podcast journey. And if you loved what we talked about today and you know another human who could definitely benefit from what was discussed, I would so appreciate if you would go ahead and share this podcast with them. Don't forget, hit subscribe or follow so you never ever miss an episode. And the great news is you can always follow me, my work, my blog, my podcast on my website at www.wethelight.org. And hey, remember, life is so much brighter when we shine. I'll see you next time.